Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, I fucked it up already. To the Aches, Pains, and Gains podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Thomas. Danny, can you believe this is our 11th episode?
That's crazy that you just took my introduction away from me.
Well, you can do it if you want. I figure we mix it up this time.
Now. What is this, 11?
The 11th, yes.
That's
so
wild.
I think this might be our 1 year anniversary. Like at this time.
I don't even remember when we started.
It was this time last year, I'm pretty sure, making it 1 year.
Wow.
And today, folks, we're joined once again by Kelsey Gudmundson. Kelsey, how you doing?
I'm good. Very good to be back.
Hell yeah. And in today's episode, we're talking about whether or not you should go to university. Kind of a polarizing question these days. Isn't that right, Daniel?
It's not a simple answer, I'll tell you that.
Well, it's like most things on this podcast. Isn't that right, kids? but let's start with some good old-fashioned aches, pains, and gains roundtable here. Because, it's been a little while since we've jumped on a recording, a couple months, I think, because we had that two-parter with Blaine. I messed up uploading that episode. Not a lot of people noticed it, though, where I actually uploaded all 4 hours at once.
Taylor told me immediately.
Yeah, well, Taylor's like our number one fan, and he listens to everything.
I also got the full 4 hours.
Did you?
Before you changed it.
Because I looked at the Spotify stats, and most people did not continue the episode after the outro played.
The silence.
But yeah, then there's like a 7-second silence or whatever, and then like the intro plays for the part 2. And then turns out to get that changed on Spotify is a bit of a pain in the ass. I actually have to go on like Spotify tech support and like contact their like podcasting like branch or whatever. It was a whole thing.
Wow.
I got it settled. I honestly should have just left it because like who cares? We have like 7 listeners, so
I think I've listened to that episode like 3 times already.
Are you serious?
Really?
Yeah.
That's like 12 hours of listening.
Yeah.
You liked it? It was a good
Loved
one.
it.
Such a good story.
I got really
My
positive
God.
reviews from everyone I've talked to.
Yeah.
About it. Blaine's story is really interesting. If you haven't listened to episode 10, folks, my God, go back.
Do it.
Stop now. This will still be here.
Yeah.
Just go back and listen to it, please. It's so good. It's a long one, mind you, but like, yeah, it's Blaine's story is truly, truly inspiring. I'm complaining a lot less about my own aches and pains lately because it could be worse.
Could be worse. That's right.
But yeah, Danny, why don't you go ahead, man? Tell us about your aches, pains, and or gains at this time here. How's it going? How are things feeling?
Well, a lot has happened since the last time we were on here. I could start with, what should I start with?
I don't know. What do you want to start with?
Well, thanks for the answer. Pains. Let's start with pains.
I like pain.
So, physical. We'll start with physical pains and then emotional pains. How about that?
Sure.
Okay. So, a few of the Bridge City Barbell members, I guess this doesn't really count as pain right now, but a few of the Bridge City Barbell members, I told everybody to apply for the Commonwealth Championships.
Yep.
So, miraculously, we have 5 or 4 now members on the team going to South Africa for the Commonwealth Championships. So that's really huge. And so there's myself, Tim, Jacob, and
Jade.
Jade is the other one going to Commonwealths. And so I've been kind of ramping up my own training for that. And just last week, or not last week, a couple weeks ago, I was doing bench press and working up to like not a wild set of 6, 315 for 6, not bad. And on the 4th rep, my left shoulder just decided to implode. And I heard a snap and felt a grind, and like it was like 10 out of 10 pain. I've never experienced anything like that before, and hopefully I don't do ever again. But
that was Danny knocking on wood. It just sounded really metallic.
Yeah, that was. But yeah, and so I've been nursing that kind of back to health and working with Adrian. And essentially, he just chalks it up to like inflammation of the bursa.
Oh, bursitis? Yeah.
That's fucked.
That's fucked.
I was waiting for you to like big dog me there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically he said hammer back some ibuprofen and you'll be good.
It'll take care of
And sure enough, like I've been taking it religiously and it has been improving, but it is still like an issue. I think it's just going to take time to kind of get better. But
Yeah.
yeah, other than that,
Just to be clear, Adrian didn't prescribe you ibuprofen because he can't do that. But
That's
he
right.
just said it may help, but check with your doctor first.
Well, I'm a paramedic. I can prescribe that.
There you
so
go.
There you go.
Can you prescribe ibuprofen?
I actually don't think I can.
I was like, I'm pretty sure that's out of
I
your
can
scope.
prescribe Tylenol, but not
ibuprofen.
ibuprofen's not on there.
Tylenol, life saving.
But
Sick.
what else?
At least it's getting better.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, it's definitely improving. Like when it initially happened, like I said, it was like 10 out of 10 pain to move, and it was just like consistently dull and achy. And then I couldn't even bench the bar without it like being like in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then just today I was hitting like 125 for like sets of 4.
Yeah.
Or sorry, sets of 2. It was 4 sets of 2. But like it was still, I could feel it, but it was like manageable.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're headed in the right direction. And like oddly enough, it doesn't affect bench press, or it doesn't affect like squats.
Yep.
Like I can get into that shoulder, the rack position without any issues there. So yeah. Other pains, emotionally.
Wow. Emotional.
I failed to get on with SFD.
Say it louder.
Oh, dude, I will. Didn't make SFD this go around.
Saskatoon
Fire Department.
Man, we got listeners worldwide. You gotta like.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you gotta like
specific.
explain shit.
I gotta be specific here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pacific.
So I gotta be Pacific here. Failed to get on with Saskatoon Fire this go around again. So this time took it pretty like I still am struggling some days with it. Just like thinking about like
You're not used to losing, man.
well, I mean
Well, okay.
no, like it's just I'm so like that's one of my lifetime goals and to come up short again, it's like I've been struggling with it still. Some days I'm fine and like I'm content with it. And then the next day I'm like, what the fuck? Why don't they want me? Fucking what am I doing wrong? I feel like I'm doing everything right. Like, but I just gotta once they open up again, just keep trying again. And that's what everyone tells me. He's like, it takes a couple of years to get on. Just keep applying. And
Yeah, you learn more from losses than you do from wins.
that's true.
And you might even be a better firefighter when you get on because you wanted it more than some people that may have gone on first try.
Well,
And my dad, battalion chief,
bless his soul.
bless his soul. My
Bless-
dad Tony,
Yeah.
he took 3 tries to get on.
Third time's the charm.
He almost quit. I'm pretty sure. Like he almost stopped. Yeah.
Dude, I'm in the same.
I'm sure that went through your head.
I'm in the exact same spot. I'm like, fuck am I even trying this anymore? Like, how do I continue to put like this time and effort into something that might not even happen? Or no, but
you could also just say the same about lifting. And
well,
training.
exactly. No, exactly. And I think lifting has helped, like, a little bit to ease
Buffer
that.
the pain.
Yeah, exactly. Go to the gym and fucking work it out. But in terms of gains, training's been okay, other than like the shoulder issue. But
nice.
Yeah, squats are feeling strong.
Sick.
Deadlifts are feeling really good.
Sick.
Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about there.
Nice. Cool. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Kelsey,
Oh,
aches, pains, and gains. What do you got? You just got back from a big trip.
I did. This is a bit of a doozy, but I'll start with the gains. Actually, no, I'll start with the aches and the pains because there have been plenty. Actually, the last time I was on the podcast was the Westerns recap,
Yeah.
and I very clearly remember saying that was the first time that all 3 lifts were feeling really good, and things have taken a turn. Like probably a month after Westerns, I started having this just slowly creeping up lower right side back pain. And we kind of modified deadlifts, dropping load a little bit to accommodate. And it kind of didn't really do much to ease the pain. So for the last couple months, I've been at Mackie Physio with Shay and now with Blaine as well.
Shout out to Shay.
Shout out to Shay.
Home girl.
Yeah, she's great.
She's good shit. Strong too.
Yeah. And bless Blaine's soul. Like he's been definitely like 50-50 physiotherapist and mental therapist as well. Yeah. So long story short, I won't be able to do Commonwealths. He figures based on the latest assessment and based on the fact that taking 10 full days off during my trip didn't help anything, that I have either a tear in my, I think, annular disc cartilage or in a facet joint. So next 4 to 6 weeks, no loaded flexion, basically just do things that don't hurt. So yeah, that's been mentally very challenging. There've been more than enough tears shed in the gym. Tough pill to swallow. But I think the segue into the gains is the mental gains. Like, it's definitely not all been positive. I've had some very negative moments and moments where I've texted Danny like, man, I don't think I'll ever be normal again. And thoughts of like, I will literally never be able to deadlift comfortably again. So that's been tough. But honestly, like listening to the last podcast episode you guys did with Blaine really helped. And I've actually been listening to that podcast in the gym just as a way to like check myself a little bit. So yeah, aches, pains, plenty, gains, more mental than physical right now. But I'm very confident that next year for nationals, I'll be back. Full swing.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Back pain sucks in general.
Oh, well, and it's like it's just all consuming. And because like I'm a trainer by day, so every time I go to pick something up off or close to the floor, it's like, oh fuck, there it is again. And it's just constant. Like sneezing, brutal.
Oh yeah.
Like the worst. So yeah, it's a constant reminder, but it is what it is. I think when I come out of it, like on the other side of this, I'll have learned a shitload, like I already have.
Yeah.
Which is huge. But yeah, I'm not going to let the 1 year graveyard claim me. So
I know it's hard to kind of see it. I think it's hard to see it now, but I think you'll come back a stronger, like more resilient lifter.
Yeah.
And I was telling you before, like, I think it hurts extra because you have this national team place the spot. It's there for you, but you're being held back.
Yeah.
There will be like you're a talented enough lifter, and you got the right headspace. Almost did the Elmer Fudd there. Did you catch that? You're a talented enough lifter, and you're in the right headspace where there'll be another spot next year, especially after nationals.
Yeah.
And I think if we take the time to just take a step back, get healthy, and put up a total or put up a performance that you can do at nationals, it'll be more than enough to get you on a spot again. It's just,
well, that's the thing.
It sucks in the moment.
Yeah,
right now.
It sucks in the moment. Actually, Chris, one of my athletes, put it best. He's like, it probably feels like you've had something stolen from you. And it kind of does feel like that in a way. Cause I'm like, if it wasn't for this pain, I'd be like, all systems go. Like, let's fucking like dial it in, go hard. But it's like, I can't.
Yeah.
So
do you feel like betrayed by your body?
Yes, a little bit. Cause I'm just like, why? Like, why? Especially on my best lift.
Your favorite lift? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it just seems kind of ironic that now all I can really do with a barbell is bench, which is my worst lift. Like, I'm probably going to be bench only at provincials, which is wild because that is literally the lift I'm least built for.
Hey, we need a female bench only.
But
I'll be honest.
We do.
I might compete as like a 69 and just send it on bench and whatever. See what happens.
And then
have fun.
Going back to like, it'll make you a better lifter. I think this time, like just looking at the physicalness of it, we're going to be able to put all this time and effort to bench press, which is not your best lift, but we'll make it a
Yeah.
good, better lift, And then after, when you're healthy, everything else will catch back up.
Yeah.
But your bench press will be that much further
I'll
along.
be benching like 225.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
we've talked about it a lot on this podcast, but there's like just something about going through like aches and pains and injuries that you just can't put on the spreadsheet. You can't put it in a program and teach it to someone. It has to be learned through the process. Like a good coach can help kind of guide you through it, but they can't do it for you.
Yeah.
And it's a very difficult thing to manage, right? Especially because pain is complex, and sometimes it relates to tissue damage. In your case, it sounds like it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And then maybe in 4 to 6 weeks, you get flare ups still, and like it comes back. But in the future, if you do wind up, I'm hoping that doesn't happen to you. I'll be honest, but if it does happen, you'll have tools in place that you can call upon in those times to kind of help get through those or even other injuries in general. Like maybe you start dealing with some sort of knee pain or shoulder pain, which is all really common in powerlifting, right? The reality is like pain is kind of inevitable in life and in training as well. So like when you learn tools to cope with these moments, they can help you stick around for longer. Because I'm assuming you don't plan on retiring from lifting next week, next year, or 5 years from now.
I'm going to be an M4.
Yeah, a Masters 4 lifter, which is 70 plus, right?
Plan.
So
70 plus, yeah.
You're what, like 28? Yeah. So to 28 years old, you have literally not 12. Is it 35 the end of the Open or 40?
40.
I got time.
You have 12 years.
Yeah.
You have over a decade.
39.
Yeah, pretty much over a decade. Yeah.
39.
Just over a decade left in the Open to really put together some like awesome performances and stuff, right? Because life happens and injury happens, and we're not fully in control of it all the time as much as like we'd like to be. But that's kind of like what Danny and we always talk about, like the whole ride the wave thing.
Yeah.
And it's like you just kind of got to stick around long enough for the next wave to come. And you're just in that low spot between waves waiting for the next one to come through kind of deal. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. No, it's times like this where I think I told you, Danny, I was like, if I was going at this alone and I didn't have like you guys and the team to vent to, I think I'd be out. Like I just don't think I would have the right support from people that understand. Cause like I talked to my sister and family about it, and they're just like, oh, like make sure you don't, hurt yourself more. And I'm like, you don't get it.
You
like,
don't understand.
Yeah. And so
they're like, oh, the deadlifts like hurt your back. So they associate deadlifts with back pain or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people injure themselves on vacations all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you associate vacations with injury? Oh, it's like vacations cause ankle injuries.
Yeah.
Or picking up your, 5-year-old daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
People blow their backs out all the time.
It's like sometimes shit just happens. It's like I was showing you like some data from like Jake's spreadsheet like a little while ago. That's like it includes the time where Jake, he just randomly overstretched a nerve getting out of bed one day, and then just severely lacked strength in his tricep and lat that he could hardly bench like 70 kilos for a little while. Like, shit happens.
Shit just happens.
I mean? And like, again, like the tools like one gains from being injured, they do make us like better athletes. I guess it's like the cheesy saying, like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger kind of thing.
Yeah, no, seriously. And like even a better coach too.
Way better coach.
Even just having
Way
the mindset
better.
to understand the blanket of negativity that can come over you when you go through something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, the catastrophization.
Yeah.
You feel a little bit
Seriously,
of pain and you're like, fuck, it's over.
Like I will never feel good again. Like that was genuinely, and sometimes still is, but not so much now that I feel like we have the right thing nailed down. But like I will never be comfortable again. Like I'll never be able to sneeze without having to like literally brace myself again. And that's a tough spot to be in. But
you know what's crazy is like when you're telling me about your back pain at the gym the one day, and I gave you that kind of stretch to maybe kind of help soothe the symptoms a little bit.
Yeah.
You mentioned the sneezing thing, and I was like, that's like kind of like one of the things they tell you to think about when there's like something a little bit more than like mechanical low back pain, like kind of the back pain that isn't necessarily associated with like tissue damage. Yeah, so it's like that kind of came up again, I guess, with
Yeah.
Blaine.
Well, because
yeah.
I really emphasized it because that is the thing that really bothered me. So I saw him on Saturday.
Yeah.
I texted him after I got back from my trip, and I'm like, just this like long, sobby, defeated message about like I was really hoping things would feel good, and then after I squatted, bench, and deadlift just light, I was like, man, this feels terrible. Like I don't know about Commonwealths anymore.
Yeah.
So we spent an hour, and I was just like, the sneezing thing like is just wild. And he just sat there and like thought, and then went through all the anatomy of vasculature and how abdominal pressure is increased significantly when you're sneezing and how that could be a disc thing. And then we did all these tests, and I mean, it feels like it makes the most sense. So I'm just gonna stay the course and not deadlift as painful as it is.
If you can like imagine like adding a bunch of pressure to your abdominal area, it can like cause like a protruded disc or like a herniated or a bulge disc to like further bulge, and people will get symptoms during that moment because like there is like innervation in and around like the disc itself, right? So it makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
But he said, I don't know. He said like if that is what's going on, I basically go against every like clinical textbook definition of a disc injury because I have zero sciatic pain, like no pain down my legs whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, like one of my clients right now actually has got diagnosed with a bulge disc from Adrian. He couldn't compete at the Bridge City Classic that happened recently, Bridge City Barbell Classic, and he didn't have like any like radiating pain like down his leg. I don't think. I could be misspeaking on that too, but yeah. So it's like sometimes it's not like herniated. Herniated is like a step further. Just bulged. Bulged is like the lesser degree. It's kind of like how they classify like strains and sprains, like, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Yeah, bulge is like less than a herniated.
Something's a little fucked up.
Yeah, herniated is usually like you often get like nerve symptoms because you're compressing the spinal nerve. I'm not actually a physiotherapist yet, so I might actually be fucking some of this up, but am I making sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I don't think I have anything actually like seeping out from my disc. I think it's just that tissue is irritated enough that every time I place certain amount of strain on it, it's like, well, what are you doing?
It kind of shoves the disc in that direction a little bit, yeah.
And I'd been hammering at it with a lacrosse ball, and like it just always felt tender. Like I was putting it onto a bruise, and I'm like, I don't know if that's just tight muscle.
Yeah.
Like the tight muscle is a symptom of the underlying cause, but like that was not doing anything. So
that's good to
know. It's been a massive learning experience. Like I feel like I'm just like a damn master at like L5, S1 anatomy and physiology now.
But oh man, that's that would be a perfect segue into today's topic. But I'll go next for aches, pains, and gains.
Bring us up on a high note.
If you're all done, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing though. That's it's hard to eloquently explain your story when you're in the middle of dealing with an injury.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna cry. 100%. I was prepared to cry on the podcast.
I thought you were too. I won't lie.
You did.
And
great.
I felt bad mentioning like the team that I was on the team, like the members on the team.
Yeah, you're so fucking.
I wasn't sure.
Danny.
As soon as I started, I was like, fuck. And I was gonna mention you, but I knew you were pulling out right now anyway. So
well, that's the other thing is like we would have had. I mean, you still will have an awesome group of people to go with, but it's like the perfect. Like, couldn't have asked for a better squad to go with. So to have to pull out is kind of just like salt in the wound.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you this. Hold on. Just kind of
go ahead.
Not that it's like the same thing, but going back to SFD and me not getting on. I have a group chat. I have a group chat with like 5 of my buddies that I went to PCP school with, and I work with one of the guys, and we're like all chatting, trying to like figure out we're all navigating our way through the hiring process. And when it comes to like the day of, we're getting calls. People are getting hired. People getting calls saying they didn't get hired. All 5 of my boys
in that chat
got hired, but me. So like that again, going back, like that's like
it hurts even more. Yeah,
and that's the other, like that's why I think it hurts a little extra this time.
Yeah,
Not that it's the same thing, but you mentioned you're missing
100%.
out. Like bad FOMO.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Like, let's say I was for whatever chance, I was the only reason or the only athlete that got picked.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give a fuck if I didn't go because I'm like, I'm going to be there by myself anyways. I don't care.
Yeah.
But
the fact that you're missing on that experience in South Africa. Yeah.
Like when we went to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It was a blast because we were with you. Yeah. I was with you and with other people, but
I love you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It was a shame we were with,
other folks,
but that's.
Hey, some people don't make good travel partners. It kind of is what it is.
Maybe that's what it came down to.
Some people you go on a trip with, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some, that's not everyone. Me and Danny, I go on another trip with you. Yeah. We've been on quite a few together now, actually.
Yeah.
Think about it. Wrestling, powerlifting, lots of powerlifting stuff now. Now that we coach together.
Yeah.
So many.
It's good.
Yeah. Anyway, aches, pains, and gains. What do I have to report? Well, big news. I passed my PCE exam, which is the physiotherapy competency exam.
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. It was a hellish few weeks, like 3 weeks, because I was finishing school. I was entering into finals. Go ahead, Danny. Just do your thing.
Fuck, sorry. I was gonna try and sneak it.
But yeah, so basically, I had the end of school, which is always kind of crazy. My finals were the last week of June. And then the weekend after finals ended, I had my physiotherapy competency exam. And it's like this online, all multiple choice, or choose the best answer. So there's more than one right answer.
Terrible.
But just choose the best.
Fucking terrible.
4-hour long exam that I had after finals. And then they said I was going to have to wait 6 weeks, which would be after my wedding, which is August 9th. So it's coming up here under 20 days, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so
I got it on my phone.
Yeah,
bro.
that's an additional stressor, right?
Don't be late.
Please don't be late. That's an additional stressor, right? So on top of all that, all those things compounding, it feels so good to get my results back after 2 weeks, and then to figure out that I did in fact pass and everything, and yeah, it feels really good. So that's the biggest PR lately.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Training definitely fell by the wayside a little bit. I still went, but I essentially just did just the meat and potatoes, just squat, bench, deadlift, couple variations, occasionally did some rowing. And then the week of the exam, I honestly just went in and hit a couple bro days. You know what I mean? I just went in and did exercises that I know I always look forward to. I call them mental health lifts. So I just went and did a couple of those. Honestly, try it sometime if you've never done it. It's a nice way to refresh the gym for you. It just feels really good. You know what I mean? I was in and out in 45 minutes too because I supersetted everything, and I was like, this is crazy. And I actually got a good workout in. I was sore the next day. I got a good pump, and I was
hell yeah,
man, no wonder bodybuilding's so appealing.
Yeah.
Or at least the training. Yeah. Because you can get it done quite quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, heavy squats, heavy deadlifts just take a very long time. Aside from that, I had some pretty rank, or a bit not rank, but a bit of a flare up of low back pain again, with the increased stress and sedentary time and everything. I made it a conscious effort to get up and take breaks. I set timers when I was studying.
Mm-hmm.
But being in school, it hurt. Just my back was hurting all the time. But I would get up and take breaks and go for bathroom breaks and go for walks while in school, while studying. I'd go for walks and listen to a podcast or an audiobook or something. And I couldn't get ahead of it, but I knew that if I just kind of tried to keep active, I could kind of keep it to a tolerable level. Because studying while in pain sucks a lot, and it affects your focus. So I would take stretching breaks too, and just move your body kind of breaks and stuff. Went for bike rides and things like that. Just my only mode of exercise isn't lifting, and it hasn't always just been lifting. So you can always laterally shift your goals to something similar that I know I'm still taking care of my body kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of my whole process. I'm really happy that's all over with, because mental health was at an all-time low there for a few weeks, and I was stressed as fuck. It was 10 out of 10 stress level.
Bro, I was sad at the gym because I would never see you.
Yeah.
And I would never be like, I miss Thomas.
Whoa.
You just kicked you dropped your phone.
I dropped my phone.
Thomas, what?
I miss Thomas.
I missed you too, man. I'm back now.
Now we're back.
Back in action.
Back in
What kind
action.
of low back pain did you or are you dealing with? Like, is it kind of a non-specific, just general?
This is considered what I believe to be non-specific, or maybe even potentially like you could call it like reoccurring mechanical low back pain.
Okay.
Usually just seems associated like with like increased sedentary time.
Yeah.
So maybe increased sedentary time and school and like stress, because like honestly, the week after I did that stuff, I did not. I swear I got like no steps, because me and Shay, my fiance, right, we went to the lake and it was plus 35 while we were out there, and the cabin has no AC,
Oh, yeah.
so we just stayed in the water, and like I didn't move. I had like tops 300 steps a day, like, honest to God, like. That's a couple of bathroom
Brother,
breaks.
did you roll yourself
down to the
fucking
beach? Yeah, literally, dude.
How do you get there and not take 300 steps?
Like, dude, I had nothing for steps. Like,
That's a PR.
Like, I just,
Fuck,
I
that's
just
crazy.
rotted. I just rotted.
Yeah.
But my back felt fucking great. Like, so I think it does have a little bit to do with stress, which we do
Yeah.
know can impact your pain experience. But yeah, there doesn't ever seem to be like an initiating incident and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of called like non-specific low back pain. We really should do a full episode on just back pain, because
Mhm.
it's so prevalent in our society, and it's something like we actually did a whole like research presentation and project in school on this, and it's something like 80% of the population will experience back pain at some point in their life, which is like pretty high. It's
Yeah, you're
pretty-
more likely than not to deal with it at some point.
Yeah, and if it is so high, like why does it seem as if a lot of healthcare professionals are ill-equipped to deal with it? You know what I mean? And it is quite complicated, because again, you're dealing with pain in humans, which makes things just inherently complex, right?
Yep.
But yeah. Anywho, that's kind of my whole spiel on my aches and pains, because yeah, your boy's done school. I
That's
won't
hype, dude.
ever, at least for the time being, ever have to study for an exam again. And I won't have to do any practical exams for like a while, unless I want to do some like additional continuing education stuff. But I'm in the clear. I just have a couple practicums in the fall, 12 weeks total, and I'll be done in November.
Damn.
Yeah.
Good
So,
feeling.
Yeah, life's feeling real good. I'm going to Mexico after the wedding too.
Oh.
Yeah, it'll be hot. It'll be hot in
Yeah.
August.
Man,
But
fuck this guy for having like his life and everything's just like falling into
Yeah.
place. And here we are just fighting for survival. I'm kidding. Thomas, I'm very happy
Well
for
deserved.
all these,
Well
deserved.
We'll leave the high note for last. you
you.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah,
End on
because
a
man,
high.
physiotherapy school was a grind. Like that shit sucked.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't know if you could pay me to do it again if I had to. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to. It's just a lot, to learn.
Yeah.
And
How good does it feel now that you've done it and it's in the rear view
it
mirror?
feels so good.
Yeah.
So good.
When is
Incredible.
do you have like what do you call it, like graduation day, like what do you call it, a ceremony for across?
Yeah, that's in
What is it called though? There's a formal name for it.
Convocation.
Convocation. Yeah.
So I don't actually get to walk the stage until like
What?
the spring of 2025.
What?
Like the spring convocation.
You should wear your singlet.
I can't. I have to wear like the whole
Aw.
like regalia or whatever
Do you
it's
get-
called.
Aw.
No, that's just like doctors, right? They get like the white coat ceremony. That's you wouldn't get anything.
That's just doctors.
You wouldn't get it. There's nothing like that for physio.
No. If you get a doctorate, you get to wear a cool hat when you graduate. But yeah, aside from that, that's kind of like the general life update. Of course, we had the Bridge City Barbell Classic the week after I wrote that exam. So I just had a lot of shit kind of in a row, like bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And like I'm so used to you like being busy and like bless your soul, handing off athletes. When we were in our group chat, the coaches chat, and you said you're like you mentioned like, oh, I got my athletes, and you like gave the list.
you were like,
I took that as fuck. I got to handle his athletes too. I didn't even read.
Oh
yeah,
shit.
Danny
So-
doesn't read my messages all the way.
So-
That's that undiagnosed
I
ADHD.
took it as like, oh, I gotta fucking handle his athletes now too, and while I'm helping set up this meet and
Yeah.
do it all. And no, because then I was telling Teresa, one of his athletes, I was like, yeah, he's not even gonna be there. I'm gonna be handling
both
you.
Teresa and Steph were like, "Are you not going to the Rise meet or the Bridge City meet?" And I was like, "What? Who the fuck's saying
Daddy
this?"
just told everyone
Yeah,
you weren't going
literally.
to be there.
I texted Danny. I'm like, I was like, "Why do you keep telling people I'm not going to the Bridge City meet, dude?"
Aw.
But I was there, and I
And I went-
ran numbers for 4 athletes plus a stray. I picked up a stray.
Aww.
Yeah.
Rob.
Rob Downey.
He was at the
Yeah.
info night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We'll be recapping all the stories on the episode we're recording tomorrow.
That's right.
So you have to check that one out, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Because it was a
I
funny.
need to hear all about it.
It was a comical time,
Yeah.
especially because like Rob had no clue what the fuck was going on when he showed up to the meet. I'll give you one teaser. I know Rob because we were in first year kin together way back in the day, 2016.
Did he ever come to the shed?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
At one point in time,
He was there one time, right?
Yes,
I do
yeah.
remember that. Okay.
And I am walking by. I look over. I see him, and I put it together that the Rob Downey in the athlete like flight list. This is him. This is the same guy, right? And I'm like, Robert Downey Jr. I go shake his hand. I'm like, how the hell are you? And we're catching up. And I was like, so like you're competing, hey? He's like, yeah. The first time, he's like, yeah. I was like, are you like who's like, are you here by yourself? Like, who's running your numbers? And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure at the info night he was like, man, I'm just gonna wing it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
I
send it.
hounded him. I was like, so what's your plan? He's like, I'm just gonna show up, and I'm like, that's fucked, man.
Yeah. So we'll give the full rundown tomorrow when we record it, which will come out in I get technically September, I guess.
Whew.
So that'll
Yeah,
be
just do a doubleheader in August.
because this. I don't know. I'd like to bank them. I don't know. Then I don't have to like.
Yeah, but do you think people are gonna remember what we're talking about in September?
Yeah,
Well, like
we got fans.
it's gonna be
bro.
so like, well, that happened in July.
We're popular. No, I'm just
Well,
Yeah.
that's
It's true. I could just do a doubleheader. I don't know. We'll
It's
talk.
up- it's up
We'll
to you.
talk.
We'll figure it
later.
out. We'll
talk
figure it out.
later. It's just hard to get us all together to record episodes in general.
Well, now they got all this fucking free time.
I mean, I'm getting married, so like that free time just like disappeared.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Ah,
Up until the
Shay will
wedding.
understand.
Well, yeah.
Podcast comes
Shay, just
first.
move the wedding back a day. We got to record our podcast
Yeah.
on
We
Friday.
should do it in the morning. We got time. We don't got to be at the venue till like 1.
Dude,
We should record a podcast at the wedding.
A pre-ceremony podcast.
Pre-ceremony.
Oh, I'd be in.
Yeah, that seems stressful as fuck.
No.
I feel like I got other things on my
Just
mind
get the
that
whole
day.
groomsmen in on it.
I don't know if you know what we talk about.
Foul.
Shit, it'd be good.
Yeah, we could do a quick 15-minute. Just pop it out there.
Come on.
Tommy, how you feeling right now? I'm scared, dude.
We'll do one for you, then we'll do one for me.
We can sweat through our suits together.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Anywho, shall we move into our topic du jour, folks?
Well, I think it's a good segue. You finishing school and
Yes.
Mhm.
So,
our topic.
should you go to the university? And the answer is no. And we'll see you next month, folks. This has been the Aches, Pains, and Gains
See ya.
podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously it's more of a complex conversation than that because Danny here, he never went to university. Kelsey has a kin degree.
Way to call me out.
Yeah, you're an idiot. We know that.
Uneducated.
Uneducated swine. You peasant. How
Back to
dare
the
you think you
barns.
can come on my podcast? So Danny didn't go to university, which was a choice. Kelsey got a kin degree, right, at one point.
Yes.
And I got a kin degree. And then I was like, man, I fucking love university. Let's do a little bit more and sacrifice more money in my mental health and get a physiotherapy degree. What an interesting decision, Thomas. Okay, so let's start maybe. I think like historically, right? The university was kind of viewed as this like ticket to getting a job, right? It was like you got this piece of paper and you were guaranteed a job. Like that was kind of the thing that I felt was being sold when I was growing up. Do you guys kind of agree with that that sentiment?
I would agree, but like my personal like upbringing, I was never pushed
do it?
towards
Yep.
towards school.
Yep.
And maybe that's just because like my parents didn't go to university and never pursued it. So
Yeah.
like
But you go see like your guidance counselor in high
Mhm.
school, and what is like the first thing they ask you? It's like, what are you planning on doing in like university? You know what I mean?
I never had that.
Do you really?
No.
What they?
Oh,
what'd
I
they
told
say?
them what I wanted, which was firefighting.
Oh yeah.
And they gave me the steps to pursue like what I needed to go to fire school.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you did pursue a post-secondary education.
That's right,
Yeah.
yes.
Just not to college or university, right?
Not to well, technically it was like
it's a
my-
college.
It was
yeah,
college,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because you get like a diploma in firefighting, right, or something like that. Yeah.
I have a diploma, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so like historically, I think that's where like universities kind of like sat in terms of like the way it's viewed. Obviously, that's not the case, right? I think we can all agree. Kelsey and I, having both gone through kin, know lots of people that got jobs not related to kinesiology at all,
Mm-hmm.
and degrees kind of are seen as this like almost like for a lot of jobs these days, like you need to have one, but it doesn't need to be specific a lot of the time, which I think is just kind of silly.
So then what's the point?
That's what I agree.
Exactly.
I 100%
Yeah.
agree. I think in general, maybe it could be wrong here. I think we're starting to move away from that sentiment a little bit. So it'd be nice if people like, just hired folks based on their actual like skill level, or, like things like, it's hard to screen for, but like coachability and things like that too. But
I feel like a lot of it can be like taught. It's like, yeah, you got to have the understanding
Yeah.
and the foundational knowledge of things, but like, for example, like patient interaction, you can't teach that in school.
Yeah.
That's something that you got to learn, like on the job, or what
when you're in the trenches. Yeah. It's like with kin and stuff, like you're not really taught like how to be a personal trainer.
No.
Or like any of the practical stuff.
Not even a little bit. I know I went to school with quite a few people that were very, very book smart and could recite or draw out the whole citric acid cycle on paper.
I was going to say the Krebs cycle.
But if it came to dealing with a real person, like, man, I don't know that I'd want to be in a room with them for more than 10 minutes.
That's
like
crazy.
Just very non-personable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think, I mean, we'll get into that, but yeah, they definitely don't teach you how to deal with people.
Yeah, that I agree.
It was the same. It was very much the same in like paramedic school.
Yep.
Like I had, like, you run these scenarios, these patient scenarios, but they are absolutely not anything like it is in like the real world, dealing with actual patients. And I would have, if it like we were given these like rubrics, and if you could follow the rubric and check everything off, and even if you were like a robot, as long as you checked off everything,
it's like physio. That's like physio too.
You would get good marks, but there is no rubric in the real world.
Yeah.
So I've seen some classmates like, be rock stars in scenarios, but then not make it through a tour through their practicum because they couldn't handle the stress of like dealing with actual real people.
Yeah.
So it's pretty similar.
Yeah, no, for sure. Kelsey, when you decided to go to university, run us through why you made that decision, like to go for a kin degree.
Well, this is kind of an interesting story, and I don't know how many people actually know this, but growing up, my mom was very insistent that I went to school.
Like university?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah. So graduated high school in 2013, and I was
Fuck, you guys are old. I'm just kidding.
Fuck you. We're the same age. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So I was highly recommended to apply to U of R, U of S, whatever. So I applied to both, got into the U of S, and I just went in for arts and science because I was like, I don't know what the fuck I want to do. Also, grew up living in a small town. So when I moved to Saskatoon, I lived with one of my best friends from high school. I didn't give a shit about school. I was solely focused on partying and having a good time. Because I could let the dogs out. I was finally in the city.
Let the dogs out.
Alone without my parents there. I'm pretty sure, I don't think I failed a course in university, but I rode the line like real hard. And so after that first semester, my dad had a very calm conversation with me and was like, look, kid, you gotta either like buckle down and figure your shit out or take a break.
Yeah.
So I took a break, worked for a couple years.
Doing what?
I worked at a bridal store actually in Saskatoon before I moved out to BC. And during that time, I found the gym. So when I found the gym, I was like, oh, kin. Like that's my...
Which bridal store real quick?
Exquisite on 33rd, I believe.
Yeah.
It was actually a really good job. Like I could just figure my shit out without having to worry about school and
Yeah.
trying to keep my grades, whatever. Yeah, and then I found the gym and I was like, Kin, that's perfect. I also wanted to move to BC, so then that was kind of like the perfect pairing. I'll move to BC. Got into school there somehow because my grades were fucking absolutely horrendous from the U of S from that one semester.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I loved my kin degree. It just seemed like arts and science. I was just spinning my wheels. Like I was in a French course. I was in an astronomy course. I was in like a women and gender studies course. Like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. It was pointless. But when I was in kin, I was like, okay, this is shit that I can actually apply to the things I like outside of the gym. So it was perfect. And yeah, love that degree. Would do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something interesting there, actually, when you're doing all the different arts and science classes. You said it was pointless. However, I think it actually served a purpose in you kind of figuring out maybe where you want to go, right?
Yeah.
You had the opportunity to kind of try a bunch of
It was
different
telling
things.
you what not to
Yes.
do.
Yeah,
100%.
you're like, I don't want to be a linguistics major
Yeah.
or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It,
Cool.
yeah, it definitely like X'd out a lot of options for me. And I was like, this is dumb. Like,
Yeah.
why am I here? So yeah, I shouldn't say it was pointless, but I will say it was a very good test the waters, back away when I knew it wasn't for me, and then go back at the actual right time.
Yeah.
And then when I
Yeah.
did go back, like my grades were phenomenal. Like not to pump my own tires, but I was, I did really well
Mhm,
when I did
yeah.
go back. So
Probably because you cared, you
Yeah.
matured a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
I
Makes
cared.
a difference.
I stopped partying every weekend. Like
Yeah.
It was every other weekend.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's college. It's still college.
Yeah.
Help me understand, because I'm an uncultured swine and I never went to university. Are you like, you took all those courses?
Yeah.
Like arts and crafts and whatever it was.
Arts and crafts.
Finger painting.
It's true though.
Are you forced to take those, or like, do you have options? Like you took arts and whatever it was,
Arts and
and
science.
astronomy, and like, are you picking those, or are they just given to you, or
Yeah. So
how do you decide?
I'm pretty sure I picked all of those as electives because I think an arts and science is kind of an unspecified degree, I believe.
Yeah, you just need like a certain number of credits under like certain kind of categories is kind of how it works. And then there's certain required classes, usually based on like your major.
Yeah.
And then other required classes or number of credits based on your minor kind of thing. So you have to like kind of fill a certain bucket worth of credits to get a certain major. And there's different majors within arts and science. It's not like just arts and science. Like some people do like anatomy and cell biology degrees under the arts and science.
Mhm.
It's not just art, it's also science kind of thing. Yeah, does that kind of make sense?
Well, the bucket really helps illustrate it.
Yeah,
so
as I
that's good.
speak to you from atop my
Yeah.
ivory tower.
Yeah.
Mhm,
You
indubitably.
peasant.
Holy shit! Is that what this whole podcast is gonna be?
Just
I'm-
shitting on
I'm
Danny.
gonna bring it up again for sure.
That's fucked.
Cool story though, Kelsey. Yeah,
that's really nice. Yeah, that's good.
That's yeah, I didn't know that about you actually.
Yeah,
So,
not many people know that I almost failed a semester at the U of S.
what an
But
idiot.
yeah, I was a
So
loser.
you went to school in BC. That's
Yeah,
That's
I did
where it
my
was?
whole kin degree in BC.
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
At UBC?
The first 2 years were at CAP in Vancouver, well, North Vancouver, because they were the only ones that would take me with my
Oh,
shitty
yeah.
grades.
Yeah.
And then I transferred to UBC Okanagan in Kelowna.
Nice.
So what made you come back?
It's a long story.
It's a boy.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, but not for the right reason.
I
I had to
gotcha.
leave. Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you do use your degree and the knowledge gained from that degree.
Yeah.
Obviously, like a lot of they go like probably too into like the scientific nitty gritty stuff, right? As we know,
like
which you don't necessarily need all the time, right?
Yeah, not very often. Like I found it really interesting because so my metabolism class was basically biochem, but
Yeah.
because it was tailored
Metabolism.
towards metabolism and how your body actually breaks down different fuel sources during exercise or what kind of exercise, like that was I could totally get into those pathways and all the mechanisms that if I was just looking at a chemistry textbook, I would like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why am I
Yeah,
even
there's
looking at this?
no context. Yeah.
Yeah. So they got pretty into the weeds with some stuff. I will say like the anatomy and the physiology actually was very interesting, like a little bit dry at times, but as a trainer and even with lifting, like understanding anatomy in that depth, I
Yeah, I
guess,
think
can really help
I
in a
think
lot of
basic
ways.
anatomy, I think we can all agree for like training and coaching is pretty useful,
Yeah.
right? Just like the basics, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like, oh, this muscle inserts here and attaches here. Like, okay, now it makes sense why you do this if you want to target this, or you move this way,
Yeah,
or
it's like
angles
you
or
bend your
whatever.
elbow to target the bicep because
Yeah.
it crosses the
Yeah.
elbow joint, right?
Yeah.
Like that's I think a useful thing to know for the most part,
Yeah.
right? Of course, you can also just train movements and stuff too. So yeah, maybe.
Yep.
But when it comes to maybe more specific, like someone's coming back from an injury thing, maybe it's useful in that context as well, because then you know kind of maybe more specifically what to be on the lookout for, or like what to be gradually increasing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Anything
Yeah.
else you wanted to add there on your experiences?
I mean, in my degree, like I don't know what your kin degree was like, but we did a lot of really interesting labs.
Yeah.
Which was again not really applicable to what I do now
Yep.
as a trainer or a coach, but I think just for my own personal knowledge and what I gained from that, I just thought the exposure was so cool, and to like put yourself through a VO2 max with someone poking your finger for lactate measures every 30
Yeah,
seconds.
and then they spin the blood in the centrifuge.
Yeah, like it was just, I don't know. It made me appreciate the human body so much more, which I think will always translate into my love for lifting and training, and that I don't think I could have gotten on my own.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think, not to like get too off track, but a lot of people say like, "Oh, this is all out there for you to learn, and you know, you could all self-learn." And like, yes, 100% you could, but are you going to?
Yeah.
Like when you're in school, that path is kind of laid out for you, like you just follow it. I don't think I would have gone out of my way to understand, say, cellular metabolism on my own. So I think the in the weeds of it, yeah, might have been a little bit overkill, but I think as a whole, it was very valuable, and just learning how to learn too. That's a
Yeah.
huge part of
That you're
school.
kind of forced to learn how to learn
Yeah.
because like they're just throwing so much at you, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a baptism by fire kind of scenario, which I
Yeah.
think for anyone is a really valuable like circumstance, because then you can find yourself in any job, and because you know how to learn,
Yeah.
you can then apply that skill to whatever gig that you're now working toward, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
100%.
Very, very
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't think it matters what degree you have or what piece of paper it is. I think just having that, someone can look at that, okay, this person knows how to learn and how to get through something either stressful or challenging, juggling multiple things at once.
Yeah. That's a good skill set to have
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. I think for the police department in Saskatoon, you need to have a degree to become a police officer, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's preferred. I don't know if it's required.
Because you don't need one to be a special constable, but you need one to be. I think you need one to be like an actual full blown police officer.
Just a degree?
Yeah, I think it's just
Oh,
a
really?
degree, but it might be like for those very reasons, like you're talking about there. Yeah, because like again, learning how to manage multiple things at once is like
Yeah.
it's a good skill set to have, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, like my like kin degree experience was like pretty similar to Kelsey's, I'd say. Like I chose to go to university off the hop because I was going to wrestle for the Huskies, and I did for a year until I got like a really rank concussion, which I've talked about a little bit, and I wound up leaving that and falling out of love with fitness and like wanting nothing to do with it until eventually coming back around to it and falling in love with first lifting and kind of bodybuilding. And then if you listen to the first episode, I talked about how I reached out to Danny and wound up powerlifting that way, and that got me hooked, and that's why I came back to kin. And I wound up naturally getting a couple injuries along the way, as an athlete in any sport would. And I wound up at physio, and then physio kind of spurred me on to becoming a physiotherapist, because I thought it was so cool when they do the whole detective thing with you and they're like, okay, so we're going to put all these clues together, go through this whole process, and at the end of it, we're going to try and come up with something to kind of help you get back to doing the things that you're doing previously, right? And that shit was cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because humans are complex, man. You know, I've said it like 7 times on this episode so far, and it's just neat that like, you know, they're doing that. So I think there's like a lot of value in getting a degree if you want a job like a physiotherapist, because you have to get one, right? We were kind of going to bring this up at the end, but I think that's really what it comes down to in the end is like, I really think you just need a degree if that job requires that piece of paper. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's ever going to hurt you to get one. But it's a pretty significant like financial cost off the hop. You puttering around in arts and science for a little while, even you name 3 classes, but that's like, you know, anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 for just, you know, trying to figure yourself out, you know?
Yep.
That's expensive. That's a lot of money, right? And you string that out over a lot of years, that can get pretty pricey. And then, you know, I mean, like, how many people with psych degrees have you heard of that are, not that there's anything wrong with this, but like are working at restaurants because that's like kind of the best paying job they found. They make like better money on tips than anything potentially related to their psych degree. You know what
it
I
definitely
mean?
does not guarantee you this job with this income.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, exactly.
unless you're in
So-
certain fields, I
Yeah.
think. But
And like kin is often used as a stepping stone degree.
Yeah.
So a lot of people go into med, nursing, physio, chiro, like all those kinds of like medical professions. I mean, is chiro a medical profession? I'm just kidding. But yeah, so basically like, I'm, you know, all in all saying that like, I think it's worth it if, you know, you need or you want a job that requires it at the end, right?
yeah.
So yeah, and like again, like I'm using my kin degree in a job, right? And you're using yours in a job, but we know a lot of people that didn't actually wind up using their kin degrees in related fields. Like not a lot of people go and become strength and conditioning coaches or powerlifting coaches or sports coaches and things like that, right? So I don't know. It's a good stepping stone degree for sure, but like a lot of people don't actually just wind up using it. Yeah, so I think people kind of rag on kin degrees a little bit because like, oh, there's no jobs in that field. It's like, brother, it's a degree in exercise and sports sciences is like what a lot of them are called.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're not interested in jobs in that field, you're probably not going to find jobs there. I went into kin originally off the hop because I was an athlete. I was a wrestler and sports and, you know, exercise science and sports science. I was like, yeah, it seems like it'd be a good fit. I liked the health classes and biology in high school. So, yeah, actually, I also really liked physics too. And I was originally accepted into the engineering program. But having heard a little bit about it in the engineering program or how it used to be at the U of S, where they have the Christmas grads quotations because people just like burn out and quit because they just hammer them so hard. So yeah, that's kind of like why I didn't decide to go for engineering and wound up in kin. Then came back to it eventually because of Daniel over here. Daniel is also a powerlifting coach. You know, I would say we're probably equally good at our jobs. We get good results with our clients. Work for the same company. Danny founded that company.
I wouldn't compare us.
Well, I
We're
mean,
different.
Okay, well, we're different, but I think we're equally good in our own right. You know what
There
I
you
mean?
go.
Yeah.
But I'm better. Danny just dropped his phone, so I'll just keep killing time here while he, you know, gets his affairs in orders because he can't sit still for more than 5 seconds. So Danny, you chose not to go to university. Tell us a little bit about that and that decision-making process.
Well,
obviously, you talked to your counselor in high school and blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
So in high school, like I'll be honest, I don't want to say I did the bare minimum in high school, but like I didn't like high school. I was only like, I don't want to say like sports was the only thing that like kept me going, but like I was pretty good at wrestling. I was a pretty good wrestler, and I knew that I needed to go to school to continue wrestling. So I was like, hey, well, I gotta fucking do this.
It's a means to an end.
Yeah, and so like I could have give a shit. Couldn't give a shit about school.
Yeah.
I just had to, you know, I would do the bare minimum to get by, and I knew that like firefighting, not that it was in Saskatoon, but like that was the career path that I wanted to pursue and go down. It was either going to be firefighting or police or something along those lines. I just didn't know it yet, but like fire was going to be what I wanted to do. And I went to my guidance counselor or career, whatever it's called now. And we looked up like schools and what we needed, what we needed for classes and everything. And actually, I don't know if it was my fault or it was their fault, but they gave me the wrong courses to take. And I graduated school with those courses, but I didn't have what was required.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I was like, well, fuck, what do I do? And so I was like pretty like annoyed. And I was just working for like a year and a bit after high school and figured out on my own what I needed for a course. And actually had to upgrade my, I don't remember what the class was. It was like science and I don't know if I needed not physics, biology and chemistry is what I needed.
The health sciences class. Or
yeah. I needed like bio 30 and chem 30, I think, something like that. So I had to go to Nutana for like 2 semesters. It was a fucking nightmare, man.
That would have sucked, yeah.
Bro. Being out of school, but then going to school with these
losers,
high schoolers,
like high schoolers. Yeah, like it was terrible.
Did you feel kind of pathetic, like going? Like, is that how you felt? In?
They're like, if you got to upgrade, like we got to be careful what we say. Yeah, here. Like if you got to upgrade your classes, like do what you got to do. Like you're not. It's not your fault, or maybe it is. Whatever.
But you're different now, and you're going back, and you're trying to better yourself.
Yes, exactly. And I was in that position where it's like I got to get this done and figure it out because the end goal is I want to go to fire school, and being in that position and these fucking rowdy kids not in that position, I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, that's fair.
So what I would do is just show up, sit at the back of the class, fucking do the work and hand in the homework. It was just like taking a high school class, but I was out of school. And, sure enough, I was able to, I did okay. Got the marks and got the grades, everything I needed, applied for fire school. And it took actually, like a little bit, like a year and a bit to get accepted because there was such a high demand to get in. And I was able to get in, go to school. So I went to Lakeland College. So you could technically say I went to college because it was at college, And so graduated from there, finished school, fire college, fucking the best time.
Oh yeah.
It was so fun. Like you talk about like partying every weekend. Oh my God. oh my God. It was also, so like in fire school, there were like at Lakeland College, there was the fire, like it wasn't an academy, but like there was like the fire program and then the agriculture program. So you'd have like the fucking farmers and cowboys. You'd have the farmers and cowboys and then you'd have the firefighters. So like you talk about like testosterone and fucking macho bravado shit, man. There'd be fights every weekend. And we would like walk to the bar, the on-campus bar.
Yep.
Oh, and fucking they would just hate us when we'd all walk, like the firefighters would walk in. It was crazy. Anyway, I had a blast the whole time. It was so fun. But finished school. And by this point, I was able to, I did my fire practicum in North Battleford, and I was working there for, I think my practicum was like 3 or 4 weeks long there. And then I was able to, I had the crazy opportunity to like work there full time for, I believe it was like 7 months. Because one of the crew members I was with got injured, and when they were trying to figure out like what to do, they were like, my name came up to just like fucking slide him in kind of thing. So I still had to do an interview and everything, but that was kind of how I was able to work out there. And it was like only a temporary contract. So after that, I kind of decided like, hey, I want to get on, like Saskatoon is what I want. And so I never really looked up what was required of it. And there was a whole other fucking program that I needed to go through, which was paramedics. And I was like, fuck that. Like if like fire school was one thing because it was, I don't want to say it was like easy, but it was like pretty like low stress. Like, yeah, we had a course like every week, but it was pretty like easy to understand and not difficult. Everyone I talked to about paramedic school was the exact opposite. It was like, you're going to fucking hate yourself. You're going to struggle. People are going to drop out. You're going to question yourself about dropping out. And because it was like a very low people who start the program to people who are working, it was a very low percentage. Because I even like right now, of my class that had probably 35, I believe, to like start, I think there's like 12 of us full-time working still. I believe something like that. Maybe a little bit more, but it's a very low, like 50-ish, maybe less than 50%. But anyway. So I was like, fuck that. I'm just going to work for a bit. And I was just like, I was a truck driver forever. And then that's kind of where I kind of, I was powerlifting at this time and just decided that I want to start coaching and started with you and a few other guys. And you guys were inquiring about the sport. And I've already been competing for like 5-ish years.
5 years at the time.
It was about 5-ish years at this time. So I was like, I got this. I can fucking figure this out. And I started like going online, just like Googling stuff. Like, what do I need? Like programming and like, what do I need to know for coaching athletes? And I could find it all.
Yeah.
And it was so easily accessible. And I don't know. I just kept like figuring it out kind of thing.
Yep.
And I would like take what I was learning and apply it to you guys. You guys were getting stronger. And I was like, well, that obviously it's working.
Yeah.
So not much to change. And like I the more I learned, the more I found like the less I know. What is that called? The
Dunning-Kruger.
The Dunning-Kruger effect. The more I'd find out, the more I'd be like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like
I know. At the start, you're like, oh, if I just like understand periodization and those things, then I'll have it all figured out.
And that's exactly what it started as. Is like, I'm a huge fan of Juggernaut training systems, and I'm pretty sure I read like through every article on their website.
Yep.
And they're heavily into like block periodization and like, you know, you have your hypertrophy blocks, strength blocks, peaking, and so on. Excuse me. And I would run that style with you guys, and we were getting unreal results. And then I started to learn more about like RTS, RPE, and how like they do like minimal changes from week to week.
Yep.
And it wasn't emerging strategies like that style at that time, but pretty similar to that. Like they would still run like higher volume blocks and transition to like peaking, but it was like minimal changes from block to block to like, you know, what is it? How does he word it? To differentiate the signal and noise.
Minimize the signal to noise ratio.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. Okay. So I was like, oh shit. Okay. So I started to piece that together and I was just like, I know nothing. Like,
yeah,
you know,
and like
it was
that,
fucked.
and like to bring it back in too, like that's like all that stuff you can find online.
It's all accessible. And the more I thought of that, I was like, not that going to university is bad, but I was just like, why the fuck is anyone going to university when I have access to all of this?
Yeah.
There's YouTube videos, the content that's available now, like today.
Yeah.
I don't, but like you said, it's all available, but are you going to go through it and like take the time to really digest it and learn it?
If it's something you're truly interested in, like you were,
or if you need it.
Yes,
and I think
100%.
Yeah.
And I think your experience probably guided what resources you they gravitated towards, like, oh, powerlifting. Okay, what is in this box of powerlifting resources and what do you put into practice, and then where does that take you in the realm of other things available? So I think in your case, no, school will not give you what you have acquired on your own with experience and coaching and learning on your own time. And
like, I think if I went to university straight from high school, I don't think I would have been able to
do it,
to survive.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have had the grades or the drive to stay in, because it was something that I didn't want. Like, it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have been able to stick it out.
Interestingly enough, like probably going back to Nutana to upgrade your grades probably taught you how to learn more than in high school.
A little bit, definitely.
Yeah.
But like, I'll get into it when I like talk about PCP school, because that's when, like, you know, shit hit the fan.
I remember you going through that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you like ever consider somewhere in there of like maybe I will go to the U of S or whatever? Nothing like that, or is it always fire?
I've thought about like now, like I think I'm a fairly established coach. I don't know what I would get out of it. Like, I think having a thorough understanding of like anatomy and physiology and all that definitely would be beneficial, but I don't know if it would change.
To like what extent?
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if it would change my practice or like how I coach.
Yeah.
Potentially, if that makes sense.
Especially because again, like that knowledge like is online and
it's
like
all available.
Even like while in university, I'm sure Kelsey can relate. There's a lot of classes where I actually had to self teach.
Yeah.
Where the professor
if I'm taking a
$500 to $700 course.
If I'm paying money and this fucking old man can't teach me the right way,
and this professor is just fucking abysmal, or it's
they can't even operate a computer. Sometimes
or it's a 500 person
horrific.
class, like, you know.
Okay, and then 500 people in one class.
Yeah.
Bro, you're just a number.
That's why they're called lectures.
Oh, dude,
right?
I couldn't. Couldn't do it.
So
I would get so mad.
Yeah, but like some of this and some of the stuff I found to teach myself on YouTube, like you're talking about like Khan Academy and like places like that.
Do you think that's a part of their like that's
part of the method? The method to the madness?
Yeah,
that's crossed my mind. No, I don't think so. I think they just suck. I think they just suck. No, I think they definitely just suck at their jobs. Because I did have good profs mixed in there.
Yeah.
And when you had a good prof that was like really passionate about the topic, like, dude, little quick aside, actually, fun fact, Kin was my first brush with Excel and spreadsheets ever. I went to a additional seminar to figure out how to make this fucking graph to visualize the data I had collected in a Kin lab, right? And she's explaining how to lock your designated range in a spreadsheet, which you put
F4, baby.
You put the F4 is the shortcut. Yes, that'll save your lives, folks. But you have to put the money symbol in, right? That'll lock it.
Yeah.
So when you drag it vertically or horizontally, it won't change the range that it's referencing, right? Because obviously, if you're trying to graph something and like that reference range is moving when you drag it, that's gonna fuck up the graph, right? Yeah. So you don't want to do that. And I remember like asking her, I was like, "So you're telling me that if I go like cash C1 colon D5 or cash D5, that it won't move the columns?" And like, you know, because you're putting the money symbols before the letters.
Yep.
She was like, "Yes, the cash symbols are the ones that lock them in place." And I was like, just like, wow, this is rad. And then she's like, "Yeah, you just grab this little corner of the box and you just drag it and it's all done." And I was like, fuck, this is cool. I didn't get into spreadsheets so much later on, but at the time I was like, man, this is a pretty neat piece of technology. It's been around since the 90s.
Oh, shit. The world literally runs on spreadsheets.
Yeah. But like this TA that was teaching me like that thing, she was one of our...
What class was this in?
It was for like a physiology, exercise physiology class.
What the fuck does that have to do with spreadsheets?
We had to analyze the data we collected during a lab. Like straight up. Yeah.
What? Sure.
Yeah. It was like, I think we were calculating or something like our like VO2 max or something like that over time, or our heart rate response to exercise protocols or something like that. Yeah, it was pretty neat actually.
I gotcha.
You know what I mean?
I'm piecing it together.
Something over the x-axis was like time. You know what I mean? Something on the y, maybe a couple y-axes, whatever. But yeah, it was like she was like super passionate about like topic and stuff, and I think she was working on her PhD. I also had another guy come in and teach for another prof. Like he's working on his PhD, so he like guest lectures, and like he was so into like muscle physiology and stuff. And like I remember just like really getting into it, and he was like going through like he was talking about like the process of getting a pump, and then like he was going through it, and then it finally hit me. I like looked at the guy sitting next to me in class. I was like, he's talking about the pump right now, like. Yeah, it was cool, man. He was like, when someone's like into it and really passionate, like I could sit in a lecture from anyone on any topic. In fact, like that's most of what my YouTube content is. It's like people kind of lecturing about topics I don't have expertise in, like particularly like space and like philosophy and stuff like that. Stuff I don't have expertise in, but like they're so fucking passionate about it that they just make these excellent videos. And like, I feel like I could go back to school and do it. But then if I went back to university, I'd have to deal with all the shit that comes with it. And these profs that don't give a fuck what happens to you. And they just give you a bad mark because it's custom. And that could instantly impact your ability to do something in your future. Like, for example, getting a physio school. Like, dude, that shit sends me. You know what I mean? Like, some of the just fucking gross negligence I experienced like in university, and you can't say anything because you got to protect your mark. You're just trying to get by. You're trying to get through. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, oh, well, my class average could never be a reflection on my ability to teach. I'll just curve it so no one will ever know. Fuck, bro, that shit kills me, man. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows up here in the ivory tower, Danny. There's issues, and they're deep, and it's not always great because you do wind up self-teaching yourself. Like like my second year bio class, taught myself that whole thing. I went to 2 classes, actually 3. The third one I had to redo the test.
Do you not think that that's a fucking waste of time?
Waste of fucking time,
bro.
Means to an end, though. I wanted to get into physio school. I had to take this bio class.
Yeah, fair.
And it was brutal. And I got a really good mark in a class that most people get a really bad mark. And I bought the textbook and I fucking paged cover to cover that bitch. I went for it. You know what I mean? Like just sat down and just went to work. You know what I mean? I was like, I'll read the damn book, I guess, Most of the time profs like use like one paragraph out of the $100 textbook. But I just read the whole thing. I was like, the answer's got to be in here somewhere. You know what I mean? So that brings me to the other point. The bio stuff that I was learning, like the fucking biology of a squid. Why do I care?
Who gives a shit?
Right? I'm in kin, dude. Brother, man. Like, what are we doing here? So yeah, basically, like they make you take a bunch of classes that are outside of your major, and like you have to take like at least for the U of S, you have to take 2 English classes, right? Not even like scientific literature or scientific writing. It's like I was doing Shakespeare in one. Not that doing Shakespeare is a bad thing, but like, fuck, dude, that shit wasn't related to fucking kin. You know what I mean? Oh, but it broadens your horizons. Fuck that. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what?
Man.
Like
I'm here for
here to narrow my horizons.
Yeah.
Not fucking broaden
it teaches you how to write. No one fucking taught me how to write, bro. Like I got the first paper I handed in, I got like a 69% on it. I remember it vividly because I was getting 97s in high school. She gives me fucking 69. And I'm like, what can I do better? She had no feedback from me, man. There was nothing.
Just don't be fucking dumb.
Literally. It's just like here's your mark. You know what I mean? Just fucking eat it. And I'm like, how am I supposed to improve when you don't give like, constructive feedback? And some profs again aren't like that. I did have another English class that was actually pretty good. But like, man, that's like the experience of a large majority of university students. I don't know if you agree, Kelsey, but like I got real heated there for a second.
Go off, King.
How fucking frustrating is it when they take marks off for your non-APA formatted shit and you're like, who gives a shit if I put a colon here or if I didn't indent this paragraph? It's like, what the fuck difference does that matter?
You remember citing sources in high school, like MLA format or whatever, and like you like format your essay with the cover page?
I understand, but I don't think I ever did.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't do it. You freaking imbecile. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so like you would not italicize like the title of the journal that you're citing, and then they would take marks off for it. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
But it's
so the body of my paper has nothing to do with how you're grading me. It's this, I didn't format this, whatever, these words. It's just that shit drove me up the wall.
And it's just like, yeah, I'm sorry. Microsoft Word auto formatted that for me. I'm like, come on. Yeah. There's just a lot of shit you have to deal with in university. And it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you a job. So like, if you are self-teaching yourself, and there's a lot of things I did have to self-teach myself, like you can obviously get by without actually going to university if your job doesn't require it. Because I would say there's a lot of powerlifting coaches that actually don't have university degrees out there that I know of, right?
I think it's less common. I feel like
there's
now,
a lot of them with kin degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're also the generation of people that got pushed to university too.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the generation ahead of us as well, especially when it was a little more affordable. So I think a lot of people did wind up with kind of degrees, maybe not necessarily related to exercise sciences, but yeah, I don't know. That was a long rant, but
I don't even remember where I was.
you were gonna talk a little bit about like.
You mentioned though.
Go ahead. Ask me the question.
No. You just mentioned like how you watch YouTube videos of like people who are like really passionate about their field or whatever.
Mike Israetel?
I can.
Oh my God.
Gold. I can remember the one class in high school that I enjoyed the most. And it was because of the teacher who, it was the way he was teaching it. And he was like, I assume he was passionate about it, but it was the way that he was teaching it to us, to me, whatever, however. But it was history, grade 12 history, whatever it was.
Which is Canadian history.
Yeah. I was so enthralled by it. I even told him, I wrote the final exam and I went and like shook his hand after the exam. I told him, I was like, this is the one grade 12 class that I actually looked forward to coming to. And it was because of how he taught it. And like, I could tell that there was passion about it. So like, I don't know, maybe
Makes a huge difference.
Maybe he felt good about that himself after that. But like, that was I had to like give credit where credit was due.
It's good. It's actually good to say that to teachers and profs because like they do get a lot of shit, and the ones that do a good job, like I don't know, the negative voices always like seem to rise above the positive ones.
Of course.
And it just feels like the positive. I don't know. It's like when you're doing a good job as a teacher, I think sometimes it's just like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do kind of thing. But like, fuck, man, some people are really bad at that job. Like in college and high school, you know what I mean? Like, for some people, it is just a job that they just don't care about, which like, I get it. People got to make money. They got to feed people. You know what I mean? It's all good. But yeah, some people are just better at it. And like, it makes a difference, I think, when you do pass along those kinds of compliments too. Like, especially even like when an athlete's like, hey man, like I really liked when, like, I really appreciate like what you've been doing for me lately throughout this injury or something like that. I'm like, man, that feels pretty good. Especially like I'm in the online space. So like I just send out these video check-ins to people out in the ethos. And sometimes I don't hear back from people. Like, I'm like, did they even watch the 7-minute video I made them? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, whatever. Yeah. But like then every now and then, you get stuff like that back. And like, you're kind of like, oh, maybe like I'm doing something right. Anyway, it's a bit of a tangent, but like,
that was good.
It's the teachers and like professors and stuff, man, like that were really passionate. That like I was so engaged. I remember like the one same class with the lab, the prof for that class, not the TA,
taught you about the pump?
teaching me Excel.
Yeah.
Different class, but same class with the Excel TA.
Yeah.
She the prof, she was like teaching us all about kind of how the body responds, the cardiovascular system responds to different forms of exercise, right? And what happens to the heart rate over time and to your like your respiratory rate over time and things like that as exercise intensity increases and things like that. And like they mix in the physiology with a bit of the practical, then you actually get to do it and see it in the lab and stuff. And like that was cool, man. That I had a really good time with, and like I really, really, really enjoyed it. How much do I really use day to day? Not a ton. Like I don't really need to know the in-depths of like the aerobic system, but like it does help to know that if I want to increase a powerlifter's work capacity, and when they mention that they can't recover between sets, that like, yeah, maybe we should do an activity that lasts longer than like, I don't know, say 5 minutes, It's like that is useful to know.
Yeah.
And I do know the mechanisms behind it. And every now and then, because powerlifters are nerdy people, they will sometimes inquire more. I don't always have the answers either, and I'll go find them. But like, I think some of those skills I gained through university as well, right? Which is like a useful thing for post-secondary education in general. Because I don't think like knowledge is ever wasted. Because like after my first year of kin, I took 2 years to go study music, right? I did an audio engineering diploma, and then I did 1 year of a degree program as a jazz guitar major. And not that I think that that time was wasted, but it showed me like a different way of thinking and a different way of learning. And like, I mean, shit, this podcast wouldn't exist had I not done those things. So like, maybe things happen for a reason. You know what I mean?
Little accident.
A happy little accident. There's no such thing as accidents. Just happy, or no. What's the quote from
I don't
Bob
remember
Ross?
what you said at the start.
What's the Bob Ross quote when he's like, "There's no such thing as accidents, just
Put a little bush
No
here.
such thing as mistake.
mistakes, just happy accidents or whatever." Yeah,
Sure. Just cover it up with a bush. I don't know.
you cover it up with a
Yeah.
bush. But yeah, I can't even remember where we were going with all this.
I don't
but
know. You cut me off twice.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to get in there.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
But you were telling your story, and you kind of left off just before, or you went to PCP school. You jumped over that.
So I was
you jumped
working.
over it, but
I was working just as a truck driver, like, because I was like, "Fuck, I'm not doing PCP school. Fuck that. I'll just try and get on somewhere else." But then, like, I figured, I tried. I think I applied to like not Kindersley, PA and North Battleford again, and I didn't get those jobs. But I was like 19. I was young.
Yeah.
So like I was like, whatever. I can understand they're not going to hire a 19-year-old.
Yep.
And I don't remember what it was, but like one day I was just like, fuck it. Saskatoon is it. What do I got to do? And so I started like researching up like what's required of PCP school and blah, blah, blah. And I had everything, luckily. Didn't have to upgrade classes or anything like that. And I sent everything in, and I waited for like, I think it was like a year and a half to get in. Excuse me. And he was like, yeah, I got in. And the first couple, I think I got in like 2020, 2021. 2021 is when I got in. And everyone I talked to, do you remember Riley Patterson?
Yeah.
He went through it, and he was kind of like my guiding light through it.
Your guru.
Yeah, because he was like, first couple courses are going to be pretty easy, but then once it comes to pharmacology, like near winter in December, that's when shit really hits the fan. And I was
like Game of Thrones, winter's coming.
yeah, I was like, nice. And yeah, the first couple courses were like, it was like health and safety, wellness, and all this touchy-feely shit. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool, no problem. Fucking breeze through that. And then we went to anatomy physiology. What a fucking joke that was. It was 6 weeks of home at like we were at home, and we had to just log in like once a week every Friday for like an hour lecture.
Oh yeah.
And we just had to work through this booklet. And then the very end was a final exam, open book. I was like, what a fucking joke. My God. I've never felt like I was wasting more time. But like, I get it. Like, yeah, we got to learn about the body, but like, there was no sense of like,
there's a lot of it paramedics don't really need, you know?
Well, I think they could have laid it out differently. Because like what they did was learn about the human body, learn about how all the systems work. And then like months and months later, we would get into like cardiac. And we would have to like get into like, this is what the cardiovascular system is like when there's like issues.
Yeah. That kind of makes sense, right? You learn what it is normally, and then
but then there was such a disconnect.
It was so far apart.
It was so far apart that we would have like 3 or 4 courses in between where it was like hyper focused, and then we would get to cardiac, and I'm like, fuck, I don't remember how any of this shit. But like it comes back right away.
For your guys' physiology, did you guys go down to like the nitty gritty of like sodium, potassium, ion channels and shit like that? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, and I was
Remember
like,
that stuff, Kelsey?
That was actually the sodium potassium pump. Fun fact was the thing that made me go like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Oh, really?
serious?
Yeah.
No way.
I was like, this is fucking crazy. There's a little motor
A little motor
all over your
every
fucking
cell?
body.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild.
Almost every cell. Yeah.
I had the exact opposite reaction. I remember sitting there thinking, who the fuck gives a shit? But hold on, I'll
fair.
backtrack because there's a purpose. You can, depending on like the solution that you're giving through IV, the pump plays a role
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Because like it affects your
at
concentration
first I was like,
gradients.
I could give a fuck about this, man. Who cares?
Yeah.
just give me a bandage and fucking, let's go.
Give me some Tylenol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, anyway,
fair.
yeah. So like it did end up being useful, but yeah, once we got through those like courses, and then all of a sudden we were in class getting into pharmacology. And I think we had like within the first week, like 7 people drop out because it was so content heavy. Like I was up till like 3 a.m. just reading through the textbooks, going through the course readings and all that. And I mentioned this, I can't remember which podcast, but like previously, I'm not a fast reader, okay? And I like from high school to fire school. Like I said, fire school wasn't that hard. You had to read through the book, the course, the textbook, but it wasn't that difficult. And I didn't really have a solid like way to study. And going from like, and even like the first couple courses in PCP school, it wasn't that hard. So I wasn't really like putting a lot of effort into like making flashcards and fucking, I would type my notes, but beyond that, I wouldn't do much else. And then the pharmacology course came along, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" Like I'm going through the textbook. It's like 3 a.m. and I'm like questioning. I'm questioning whether or not I'm gonna make it. And in the back of my head, I'm like, "Well, fuck, you gotta, because fucking Saskatoon Fire requires it, and this is what you got to do." And I remember I looked up, like, I think what came up across my like algorithm was like Speechify, and it was an app where you could like upload a document and it'll read it to you. And my God, like I'm pretty sure I teared up as I was using it because I was like able to follow along. I was ripping through pages, but I was like comprehending it also at the same time. So I was just like,
game changer,
fucking game changer. It's over for these bitches. Like I was so fired up, man. I used that religiously. And like Speechify is what I think what got me through that whole program.
Hell yeah, brother.
Wow.
Yeah. I was emotional. I was just like, fuck yes.
And that was the end of your formal academic career, hey?
So I went through the rest of the program. Actually, oddly enough, pharmacology was my best course.
And, sometimes when the heat's on,
yeah.
pressure makes diamonds, baby.
And I graduated, I think it was like a 90 some average. It was like a 92 average or something like that.
Wow.
So not to toot my own horn, but like,
you're a genius.
Well, not too bad. I pride. Well, and I think like, because not that I was like, I want to be a paramedic, but I will say like, it was the more I learned about it, and the more I was understanding, I was like, this is fucking cool shit.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, the end goal was fire.
Yeah.
It like forced my hand to like really fucking bunker down and learn. And I really try to understand things. And I really enjoyed it.
I had quite a few of those moments during physio school, actually, of like, I don't know if I actually want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it just got like really, really hard, and like I was just like suffering. You know what I mean? Just like, this sucks, kind of thing. And to be fair, though, like the start of physio school is like, it's a lot, but like really at the same time, like really basic as well. It's honestly like you're just learning how to move people, but then you're also doing all like the anatomy stuff and like the theory kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you have like nothing to like anchor it to and apply it to. So without that practical experience, it's really hard to like engage with. But like when I find things on like powerlifting online and like some in-depth lecture about the mechanisms of hypertrophy, of like muscle hypertrophy, I'm like, fucking rights, I'll sit down for a 45-minute video from Mike Israetel, or a 2-hour video with Brad Schoenfeld or whatever, or a 2-hour podcast. Like I'm all about that if I'm into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now that I have like stuff to like anchor it to, like when people are talking about like, the different aspects of like the sarcolemma and things like that of the muscle cell, I'm like, yeah, I'm there. Like I can run with you. You know what I mean? I'm just like, because like I engage with it now. Like I'm like, this is like interesting to me, kind of thing. Versus like previously, like in school, some of the profs I had, it was just like, man, I don't really care about this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So yeah, all in all though, I don't think like any knowledge is ever wasted, because like I think you can gain something from virtually any experience, whether or not it's a negative or a positive one. Wow, isn't that full circle?
Crazy.
Crazy, right?
Crazy.
I'm the master. No, I'm just kidding.
Shut up.
I'm just, you guys are my puppets, man. I just took you on this ride. Yeah, I send you guys one outline. I actually have another for myself.
Yeah,
Like, it's just like
set us up.
I just put stuff in between the lines to like, it's like choose your own adventure. You know what I mean? I've just
course.
like designed a game to wind up in a certain position.
Jesus.
But yeah, I don't think like any knowledge gained like is ever wasted.
No.
You know what I mean? Like I don't regret going to study music for a couple of years. You know, like it was a really interesting process, taught me a different way of thinking. And like honestly, like coaching now, it is equal parts art and science. In fact, I would actually say it's probably more art than science, because the science only gets you so far.
Yeah.
The art part of it is actually being creative and problem solving. And that is hard to do. And it's not really taught in like a conventional like university setting for the most part.
Yeah.
Like it's even high school, man. Like there's just very few opportunities where you had to like creatively solve issues and problems and dilemmas and things like that.
Yeah.
Like the number of times that I have to like creatively solve a problem like during a week now, it's like it's just so much more than I ever had to do than in kin. In kin, it was like, you know, you just memorized the whatever thing you wanted to memorize. Or
well, everything's pretty much based off of like the average person or the normal person or the person with no, say, movement restrictions or limitations or injury free or whatever. And then you get into the training or the coaching world, and it's like, man, nobody moves perfectly. Like nobody moves like they do in a textbook.
Yeah. This is a textbook squat. I'm like,
yeah,
but
what does that even mean?
A lot of people can't squat like that. So what are you going to tell them? Not to get off a toilet? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add on those? We just kind of gave our anecdotes and interjected a bunch of opinions in there, so that was good.
I don't know. I don't regret not going, but I mean, I still went to like post-secondary education, but I mean, you guys went down your path.
Yep.
And I went down mine. It just so happened I didn't go to university.
We kind of wound up in similar positions too.
Well, I don't think any of the programs or courses that I took, like fire or paramedic, translated to coaching.
Yeah.
Maybe because, well, actually I would say vice versa, not vice versa.
Powerlifting coaching translated more to
patient care.
Yeah, because you're used to dealing with people.
That's right. Yeah, 100%.
I would probably agree with you though. Like I think most of, well, a lot of what I learned during school helped me with personal training, but I don't think much of what I learned in school helped me with coaching because it's just so different. I think if anything, personal training helped me with coaching, but not even to a great extent, because it just felt like, oh my God, I no longer know anything anymore.
I'm actually very happy. Like I personal trained before I became a powerlifting coach.
Yeah.
Because like, if you've never worked with someone in person, the ability to quickly get instant feedback, not just on, not for them, for you, and to like give cues and to see when you've given too many cues and to see when you maybe haven't given enough, or even when you need to like just lay back and let the person just figure out the movement for a little while, right? Like I think you can get to that point just like by coaching online, but like I think it takes longer if you go the coaching route. But I'm very happy I have worked with people in person.
Yeah.
I found that really useful. I don't know if I learned a ton about programming in kin. Like, yeah, they said that 1 to 5 reps for strength and 8 to 12 for hypertrophy and 15 plus for muscular endurance, but we know it's more of a spectrum now and a lot of overlap on those spectrums. And like I think we've said previously on the podcast, like weightlifters and powerlifters at the highest level, they're jacked and they spend most of their time doing sub 6 reps. You know what I mean? Like, so clearly it's not just 8 to 12 reps for optimal hypertrophy, but there's a lot of nuances there obviously not the topic of the episode, but it's just one of those limitations, right? Where and like some of the information you get taught in university actually is like a little dated
Yeah.
because it takes like I don't know. The saying is like 10 years to go from research to textbook kind of thing, and then textbook is the thing that informs the like curriculum, I guess. I don't know how much truth there is to that because I'm not a professor. But yeah, like it does kind of make you think like, oh well, maybe there's like I don't know, more nuance to this and like the professor's giving credit for. Also, there's that like authority bias too. I think that people fall into the trap of in
Yeah.
universities where it's like, oh, like this person like well, actually, this can go a few different ways. Oh, this professor said this, so it must be true, right? Kind of thing, which isn't always the case.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, this person has a degree. They said this, it must be true. That's also not always the case, right? People with degrees say stupid shit. People with PhDs say stupid shit online all the time. You know what I mean?
People with nothing say stupid shit as well.
Just like you, Danny.
Just
No,
like
I'm just kidding.
That's where I was going.
You're so mean. I saw you smirked at me. I was like, I know he's gonna say it. But yeah, like I don't know. My verdict, all in all, is to say that like there's nothing inherently wrong with going to university. I personally think it's more worthwhile if there's a job at the end of it that you think like the degree will be beneficial for.
Yeah.
And honestly, like as I've gotten older, when people ask like me, like cousins and things like that, or just young people who have come across in life through different jobs and things like that, if they ask me if they should go to university, I usually say like, do you know what you kind of want to do after? Like, have you worked at some jobs? Have you kind of got some life experience? Because like, I think for the most part, I usually recommend not to go straight into it out of high school if you don't know what you want to do. Because like, it's an expensive experiment, not necessarily a wasted experiment. And if you can afford to do that experiment or you have the means to do it, by all means, go ahead. But like, it would probably be beneficial just to go out there and work for a little while, maybe shadow a few jobs, just figure out what the world is like and just get an idea of how things work outside of high school. Because like when you finish high school, man, you are so underprepared for how things like actually
you don't know
work.
Shit.
Yeah. Like you don't know anything. And you leave grade 12 like feeling like you know everything too. You know what I mean? Like the ego in a grade 12 kid, gigantic. You know what I mean? And like instantly gets deflated once you go start doing something, right? Of
course.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's kind of where I land on the whole should you go to university topic. What about you guys? Where do you guys kind of land on it?
Well, I think it all depends on what you like, what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like because I want firefighting, I don't know if there's a need to go to university. But with that said, like if like you said, if you have the money and you want to like try, maybe you actually you go to university and you like something there and you like kinesiology and you want to pursue that.
Yeah.
Like just because you're set on one career path doesn't mean it won't change.
Yeah.
Like you went to
I
music school.
I make the joke that I changed career paths 4 times by the time I was 24.
Yeah.
So like that's another thing I always say to people is that don't be afraid to change your mind.
Yeah.
I think people get like commitment
paralysis.
You
can change.
Just try something.
Yeah.
Like you could have gone to fire school and been like, yeah, I'm okay. And then go and became just a powerlifting coach or something, right? Like you kind of did. But I mean, for now,
I gotta go.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like it's perfectly okay to change your mind. I know lots of people that have changed their mind plenty of times throughout life and came out just fine on the other end of things. So yeah.
I would even argue that like it doesn't even have to be university. You could go to the trades.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And those are also extremely valuable.
Yeah.
I think for some reason the trades get like not demonized, but like almost belittled.
Yeah.
In a way, because like, oh, you
that's
people
blue
go
collar
to
work.
That's blue collar. I'm above that. I'm sitting in your fucking ivory tower over there. You know what I mean?
With my white collar. Yeah.
So I think trades would be a great option too. I think coming out with any type of trade, like carpentry, electrician, or welding, or anything, I find maybe that would be more valuable than coming out with a arts and crafts degree.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at least that shit is applicable. And like, you know, if you
Yeah.
have a house, you can fix things and, you know, like
Yeah.
something as tangible as
Yeah.
that, I think would be beneficial. But I'm just kidding. Like arts and
I
arts and science
agree.
degree is good. No, it ultimately depends on what you want to do for a career path, and
yeah.
that's not always locked in. It's not always set in stone. It might change.
Yeah.
So,
Hard to know.
yeah.
But yeah, I think either way, trades, university, college, whatever the fuck it is, like you're learning how to learn something. And I think once you have that skill set, you can apply that to really anything else. Like with powerlifting. Like, I don't know if I've told you this to your face or not before.
This is
but
crazy. I'm ready.
I don't know who I said it to actually. But it was like maybe 6 months ago. And I was like, man, I don't care. Like, I don't give a fuck if you have a degree in arts or not arts and science, exercise science or anything. Like, whether you did or not, or there was someone else that did, like, that doesn't mean shit to me because the experience and the passion that you have for like powerlifting above and beyond any textbook teaching like that, it wouldn't even cross my mind to be like, oh, does this person have a degree or do you have whatever, a fancy expensive piece of paper? Like that shit doesn't matter past a certain point. Like unless you're, you know, getting your MD or something like one of those professional degrees. I don't know. I feel like if the passion's there, everything else will follow.
Yeah.
And I've literally thought about that as like, because I don't have any like formal like education. And I've thought like, do people think I'm like just some fucking hillbilly who likes to lift weights and stuff?
I didn't even consider it.
No?
No. I was like, I didn't even consider it.
That's crazy.
Met you at Rise like that one time and then at the meet and I was like, yep, done. Like,
oh,
the passion's there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was even fully aware of your experience or extent of experience at the coast. But I was like, yeah, I'm sold. Like, this guy gets me hyped to lift like even more. Like, what else? No shade, Thomas. But
that's fair. She did pick you over me, so actually I didn't really know who you were. To be fair, yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, that's you know, Danny was my first coach. You know, I did fire him though eventually. So I'm just kidding, Daniel. Come on, bro.
That's maybe like I don't want to say that because I have nothing. Like I don't have nothing because I don't have any formal education. Yeah. Because I don't have any formal education. Maybe that drives me to be or like to have.
I feel like you got something to prove.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's the case because I've always been so passionate about this sport and coaching it. Because of what the sport, I don't want to say it, because of what the sport gave to me and how I see the sport, that's what I'm trying to show everybody else.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where my passion comes from. And yeah, maybe I do have something to prove that you don't need a fucking degree to, you know, be a good coach. Because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be the coach that I've always, like the coach I've always wanted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not to throw shade at other coaches that I've worked with, but that's just how I see things. Like I want to be the coach that I've always wanted. Like I've worked with terrible coaches in wrestling, and I try to stay as far away from that as possible, and pick and choose kind of what I've liked with other coaches and integrate that into my own practice. So I don't know. I try to be passionate.
It goes a long way.
Works.
I think it goes a long way.
Yeah. And then you can just keep learning the things you need to learn and then never being closed off to learning new things. And like, and I still feel like I learn more from like athletes and clients than I do from other like mediums of learning. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, they'll teach you things that you never thought like you would be learning. You know what I mean?
Even this is like the scenarios.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah. Like injuries and stuff.
And how to navigate through that.
Or like when you accidentally load 125 kilos when you open at 107.5 kilos.
Yeah.
I'll tell that story tomorrow on the episode. But there's just so many or how do you navigate different personalities that are so just vastly different from your own?
That's another huge thing is trying to match your personality to the athlete,
the needs of the athlete,
of the athlete, and meeting them instead of trying to let them or trying to push them through
shove a square peg into a round hole.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Yes. You got to be adaptive and meet the needs of the athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to fit the mold, have them fit your mold.
I think the biggest eye-opening moment in my personal training coaching career was just it's not that it was just during that it happened, but just recognizing and then using the fact that everyone around you has a vastly different personal experience than your own. So is it really all that crazy that someone is having a different experience than yourself? You know what I mean? We're all so vastly different. You know what I mean? So especially when it comes to the things like coping with pain and injury and stuff, and everyone's gonna have such different responses to it.
Yeah.
And it's just yeah, man, maybe they have something that you might consider relatively minor, but maybe it's the first injury they've ever experienced, and they have just a bit of kind of this chronic nagging minor knee pain, and they're catastrophizing it because it's the worst injury they've ever experienced, right? So yeah, maybe to me it seems minor, but to them it's a big deal. So to what my opinion of it doesn't actually fucking matter. Their experience is the thing that matters, right?
Yeah.
Now, how am I going to help this person get to this place that they want to get to in the presence of these other things in place? You know what I mean? Or they explain some life circumstances. Yeah, man, I'm in trade school and I got a final coming up. I'm like, oh, trade school is fucking easy. Not that that's what I think, but I'm just, it's yeah, I don't know what trade school is like. They have a different experience than I do. I'm going to take them for the word that it's stressing them out and it's impacting their training. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It applies across the board. And I didn't learn that in school. You know what I mean? It's not you can't put that in a book. You know what I mean? It's just you have to feel it. You got to experience it. You got to, see it with your own eyes, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really,
I think you have to have a certain degree, probably a large degree of emotional intelligence to see that in people too and recognize that and know when to either check yourself or take a step back and think about things from someone else's perspective, just based rather than, oh, this is what I learned from a book and this is what I read. Just shut the fuck up for a second.
It's I'm not getting stronger. It's well, technically you should be because we're doing sub 5 repetitions.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Crazy.
It feels like a good place to kind of wrap things up. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add on this topic?
I don't even know how close we followed the outline.
It was a rough outline.
Oh shit! Yeah.
No, we got pretty much everything we wanted to touch on this.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
This was great.
Well, thanks for joining me, guys. This has been a good time. Kelsey, thanks for coming back.
Anytime.
Folks, if you made it this far in the episode, please rate, and share and or subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to it. I believe on Spotify there's a link now that says send us a text. You can click on that. You can send us send our email a text and basically leave any feedback, any topic requests that you want to hear us talk about or chat about or ramble about, and or any questions for the hosts or co-hosts or guest hosts.
I can already see Taylor typing in some dumb shit.
I think it's on there. I think if you go on there, it says send us a text. And Spotify might have a comment box as well. I'm not sure if I've enabled that or not. I'm still trying to figure it all out.
Enable it.
Still trying to figure it all out. I don't know if it works or not. But yeah, if you guys could go do all those things, that'd be very much appreciated. That way we can get this podcast into more people's ears. www.bridgecitybarbell.com for all your coaching needs. You can also reach out or check out at Bridge City Barbell YXC on Instagram. You can also reach out to the at Aches, Pains, and Gains .podcast on Instagram as well with any comments, questions, feedback, and that kind of thing. Kelsey, where can they find you on Instagram?
I believe it's my first name last name, Kelsey Gudmundson,
which is in the description. Yeah, I can link.
Yes, it is.
I have to
That's
think
for
about
sure.
it too all the time.
That's definitely what it is. First name, dot last name.
That's where you can find her. She's a personal trainer. She's also a powerlifting coach. One of the newest additions to Bridge City Barbell, right? Did we announce that on here before?
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Maybe.
Yeah, so she coaches with us. So if you liked Kelsey's voice and what she had to say today, maybe you want to reach out for coaching to her because, yeah, she's pretty cool. And yeah,
All right.
I think that's everything from us here today, folks. We'll see you in the next one.
I guess you won't reach out for me. I
No,
guess.
we don't need to reach out to Danny. No, we have your links in the thing down below. At D Heinz.
Nope.
No, I'm just kidding.
Fucking
It's
wrong.
Heinz_BCB
That's right.
for Danny.
That's right.
At Heinz_BCB. And I am at Thomas Johnston_BCB. So that's it. That's all. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Later.